Welcome to Clean Calm Tales. This is your soft 20-minute cleaning session. You don't have to do everything today. Just choose one small space, one corner, one surface, one room, anywhere that feels the most messy. Start where you are and start small. Grab a trash bag or a small basket and begin. While you clean, I'll tell you a calm tale that ends with hope.
In the deep forest, there was a cottage bakery that didn't stay in one place. Some nights, it wasn't there at all. And some nights, its windows glowed like warm honey, as if the trees themselves were keeping it safe. People said the bakery appeared for one kind of person only, the person who had been carrying too much for too long and had finally forgotten what safe felt like. In the old days, when villages were small and forests were wide, there lived a woman named Ilara. Ilara was not weak. That was the problem. Because when people saw she could handle things, they quietly gave her more. After her mother died, Ilara became the one who held the house together. She became the one who woke before sunrise, the one who fetched water, the one who mended clothes and boiled broth and remembered which herbs eased fever, the one who smiled and said, "It's fine," even when it wasn't. And because she did it so well, people stopped asking if she was okay. They started assuming she was. But at night, when the village went quiet, Ilara would sit on the edge of her bed and feel something tight inside her chest, like her body didn't believe it was allowed to soften. She did not feel safe. Not because danger was always near, but because the world felt like it could fall apart at any moment, and she was the only one holding it up. In her room, there was a small wooden chest, her mother's chest. Ilara kept it closed, not because she didn't love her mother, but because she loved her so much that opening the chest felt like opening a wound. And Ilara didn't have time to bleed, so she did what many people do when they're overwhelmed. She stayed busy. She scrubbed and swept. She organized and fixed and carried. She tried to clean the outside because the inside felt too big. On one particular evening, Ilara stood in the doorway of her room and stared at the mess that had gathered like a storm cloud. A basket of half-mended linen, a pot soaking in water she forgot to change, a pile of wood that needed stacking, dust that had found every quiet corner, and in her mind, the familiar voice rose again. "You're behind. You should have done more. You don't deserve rest yet." Ilara's shoulders sank. Then there came a knock at the door. Not loud, not demanding, just present. Ilara opened it and found two children standing there, Mira and Tomas, holding a small bundle wrapped in cloth. Mira lifted her chin like she was delivering royal news. "My grandmother says you're walking around like someone who forgot how to breathe." Ilara tried to smile. "That's a kind thing to say." Tomas nodded solemnly. "She also says you need bread." Mira opened the cloth and revealed a handful of wildflowers tied together with twine. "We picked these," she said. "For you?" Ilara blinked. "Flowers?" "For your table," Tomas said, as if that solved everything in the world. Mira leaned closer. "And grandmother told us to tell you something." Ilara waited. Mira lowered her voice. "There's a bakery in the forest." Ilara almost laughed. "A bakery?" Thomas nodded seriously. "A cottage bakery. It smells like honey and warm butter and pine needles." Mira added, "It's not always there, but when it is, it's for people who feel like they're carrying too much." Ilara's throat tightened before she could stop it. Thomas, who noticed everything in a child's way, said, "She said the bakery has a rule." Ilara whispered, "What rule?" Mira and Thomas spoke together, as if they'd practiced.
No coins? Ilara stared. No coins? Mira nodded. You can't pay with money. Thomas grinned, then dropped his voice dramatically. But the baker is nice. Mira elbowed him. Stop it. Ilara should have dismissed it. She should have said, there is no magical forest bakery. She should have gone back to scrubbing and proving she was fine. But the truth was, Ilara didn't want to be fine. She wanted to feel safe. And something about the wildflowers in her hand, something about the softness of the moment, made her feel like maybe she could take one small step toward that. So Ilara did a quiet, brave thing. She grabbed her cloak. She took her lantern. She tied the wildflowers to the lantern handle with the same twine so they wouldn't get crushed, and she stepped into the forest. The path was dark, but not frightening. The trees stood like old guardians. The wind moved gently through the leaves, and the night air smelled clean in a way the village air didn't, like it carried less expectation. Ilara walked until the lights behind her disappeared. For a while, she felt silly. I am chasing a story from children, she thought. Then she remembered how her chest had felt lately, tight, restless, never at ease, and she thought, if there is even a chance this is real, I want it. She kept walking. The lantern flame flickered. The wildflowers bobbed softly, their petals pale in the glow. And then, just when Ilara's feet began to ache, she saw it. A cottage, tucked between two ancient pines like it belonged there. Warm light poured from the windows. The air around it smelled like fresh bread and sweetness, and something that reminded her of a home she used to know. Ilara stopped. Her eyes stung. Not because she was sad, because her body recognized warmth like it was a language she had forgotten. She stepped closer. A wreath of dried flowers hung on the door, and beneath it, a wooden sign carved with gentle letters. Forest Bakery. Open for the weary. No coins. Ilara's breath trembled. She knocked. The door opened almost immediately, like someone had been waiting in silence, listening for her hand. A man stood there. He was not dressed like the villagers. His clothes were simple but clean. His sleeves were dusted with flour. His hair was dark, slightly messy, like he'd pushed it back with the back of his wrist while kneading dough. His eyes were warm, not intense, not judging, just warm. Hello, he said softly. Ilara swallowed. Hello. His gaze flicked to the wildflowers tied to her lantern handle. Something gentle moved across his face, like recognition. Come in, he said. It's cold out there. Inside, the cottage was small, but it felt wide, like it had room for people to breathe. A long wooden table, mugs hanging from hooks, herbs drying from rafters. A big oven glowing orange like a heart, and the smell. The smell was so comforting that Ilara's shoulders dropped without permission. The man, the baker, closed the door and said, You don't have to be careful here. Ilara blinked. What? He smiled faintly. You can just be. Just be. Ilara felt her throat tighten. My name is Rowan, he said. And you're safe here? Ilara didn't know why, but those words hit her like warm water. Ilara, she whispered. Rowan nodded, as if her name belonged in the room. Then he gestured toward a shelf near the counter. On it sat a row of glass jars. Each jar held folded paper slips, and each jar had a label carved into wood. Worry, guilt, shame, grief, fear, exhaustion. Ilara stared. Rowan watched her carefully. Not like a stranger, like someone who understood. You heard about the rule, he said. Ilara's voice came out small. No coins. Rowan nodded. Coins are easy, he said. They don't tell the truth. Ilara frowned. So, how do people pay? Rowan slid a small piece of parchment across the counter and placed a charcoal pencil beside it. You write down one thing you're carrying, he said. Only one.
Ilara's fingers trembled.
Only one?
Rowan's voice softened even more.
You are not here to fix your whole life tonight. You're here to put down one stone.
Ilara stared at the parchment.
1 stone.
Her mind tried to lift 100.
I'm behind. I'm failing. I can't keep up. I miss her. I'm tired. I'm scared I'll always feel like this.
Rowan didn't rush her. He poured tea into a mug and set it near her like it was the most normal thing in the world. At the table, she noticed other people. An older man warming his hands by the oven, eyes half closed. A woman in a worn cloak sipping tea like it was medicine. And near the far side of the table, 2 children sharing a bun and whisper laughing. Ilara blinked.
This place, she whispered. It's real.
Rowan gave a small smile.
It becomes real when you're ready to stop pretending you're fine.
Ilara's eyes stung. She sat at the table. The wood was smooth, warm from the oven's glow. She stared at the parchment again. Finally, her hand moved. She wrote, I am afraid I will never feel safe again. The words looked too honest on the page. Ilara's chest tightened. Rowan came quietly, took the parchment gently, and didn't read it aloud. He walked to the shelf. He opened the jar labeled Fear. Inside were dozens of folded papers, all different handwriting, all different lives. Rowan placed Ilara's slip inside and closed the lid, and in that moment, Ilara felt something subtle, like a tight knot in her ribs loosened half a turn. Not fixed, just loosened. Rowan returned to the counter. Thank you, he said simply. Now you can eat. Ilara blinked. That's it. Rowan smiled. That's enough. He cut a slice of fresh bread and placed it on a plate in front of her. The crust was golden. The inside looked soft and warm. Ilara took a bite, and she almost cried right there at the table, because the bread tasted like safety, not like magic sparks, like something older, like sitting near her mother as a child while rain tapped the roof, like warm hands braiding her hair, like a candle burning on a table while the world outside was cold. Ilara's eyes filled. Rowan leaned on the counter, watching her with gentle steadiness. You remember? He said quietly. Ilara swallowed. I forgot this feeling existed. Rowan's voice was kind. You didn't forget. You buried it under survival. Ilara took another bite. Her shoulders dropped further. The woman in the worn cloak spoke softly from her seat. It's strange, she said. How we clean and clean, hoping it will make us feel safe inside. Ilara looked at her. The woman offered a small, understanding smile. It helps, she added. But sometimes you need warmth first, not pressure. Ilara nodded, breath shaky. Rowan turned back to the counter and began kneading dough, his hands moving with slow confidence. Ilara watched him. There was something grounding about his rhythm. Rowan spoke without looking up. The bakery appears when someone reaches a quiet edge, he said. Not a dramatic edge, not a loud breaking point. He pressed the dough, folded it, pressed again. A soft edge, he continued. When you realize you can't keep carrying everything the same way? Ilara's throat tightened. Does it appear for everyone? Rowan's hands paused for half a heartbeat. No, he said. Only for people who are ready to put something down. Ilara stared at him. And you? Why are you here? Rowan looked up. For a moment, his expression was almost vulnerable. I came once, he said. A long time ago. I was like you. Ilara's breath caught. Rowan's voice stayed gentle. Someone let me put down one thing, he said. And then the bakery asked me to stay. The bakery asked you? Ilara repeated. Rowan gave a small smile.
not with words. He glanced at the jars. With need. Ilara's chest warmed in a strange way, like the world was quietly kinder than she thought. The two kids at the far end of the table ran up to Rowan. "Can we have the honey buns?" one asked, eyes huge. Rowan laughed softly. "You can have one each." The kids cheered like he'd given them crowns. Ilara watched the scene and felt something. Not jealousy, longing for that kind of gentle life. Rowan caught her gaze and smiled like he could read her thoughts. Then, as if he was also surprised by his own courage, he said, "There's another rule." Ilara blinked. "Another?" Rowan nodded. "When you leave, you can take bread, but you must leave with one truth." "One truth?" Rowan's eyes held hers. "Something you can carry without it crushing you." Ilara didn't know why, but her heart beat a little faster. "That's different," she said. Rowan smiled. "Yes, it's meant to be." Ilara watched his hands knead, and she realized something else too, quietly. Rowan was attractive, not in a dramatic way, in a safe way. The kind of attraction that feels like warmth, not risk. Ilara looked down at her tea quickly, embarrassed by her own thoughts. Rowan didn't tease her. He just kept working, calm and steady. Time passed softly. People ate. People breathed. People didn't rush. Ilara's mind tried to whisper, "You should be doing more," but every time it rose, the warm smell of bread pushed it back down. Finally, Rowan pulled a loaf from the oven and wrapped it in cloth. He tied it with twine. Then, without speaking, he added something to the knot. 3 small, dried wildflowers. Ilara's throat tightened. "Those..." Rowan's eyes flicked to her lantern handle. "You came with flowers?" he said. "That means you still know softness." Ilara swallowed hard. Rowan held out the loaf. "Take it for tomorrow." Ilara's hands shook as she took it. It was warm through the cloth. Rowan's voice lowered. "Now," he said gently. "Your one truth." Ilara stared at the loaf, at the flowers, at the jars, at Rowan's calm eyes. She thought of her home, her room, the mess, the chest. She thought of how unsafe her body had felt for weeks, like rest was something she had to earn. And then she thought of something Rowan said. "You are not here to fix your whole life tonight. You're here to put down one stone." Ilara looked up. Her voice came out soft, but clear. "I am safe enough to start small." Rowan's smile was immediate, warm as the oven glow. "Yes," he said, "that's a good truth." Ilara blinked fast. "Will this place be here again?" Rowan stepped closer, not too close, not pushing, just near enough that Ilara could feel his presence like heat. "If you need it," he said, "and if you remember the rule." "No coins," Ilara whispered. Rowan nodded. "No coins," he said, "only what you're carrying." Ilara held the bread against her chest like it was more than food. She turned toward the door. Then she stopped, because there was one more thing she wanted to know. "Rowan?" she said quietly. He looked at her. Ilara's voice trembled. "Do you ever feel afraid again?" Rowan's gaze softened. "Yes," he said honestly. "But now I know what to do with it." Ilara's eyes filled. Rowan lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to step back if she wanted. He touched the twine on the bread knot, barely a touch, and then let his fingers brush hers. A gentle contact, a steady warmth, not a promise of forever, a promise of kindness. "Go home," Rowan said softly, "not to punish yourself with chores." Ilara's throat tightened. "Go home," he repeated, "and make one small space softer." Ilara nodded. She stepped outside.
The forest air was cool, but it felt clean. The path felt less heavy. When Ilara reached her home, the mess was still there. But it looked different now. Not like a judgment, like a place that could be cared for. Slowly. Ilara set the bread on the table. She walked to the chest, her mother's chest. Her hand hovered over it. For a moment, fear rose again. Then she remembered her truth. Safe enough to start small. Ilara opened the chest. Inside were small things: a ribbon, a wooden comb, a folded cloth embroidered with flowers. Ilara held the cloth to her face and breathed in. Grief came, quiet, warm, sharp around the edges. But it didn't swallow her. Because now grief wasn't a monster. It was love, and love could sit beside her without destroying her. Ilara whispered, "I'm still here." Then she closed the chest gently. Not because she was running away, because she was choosing softness. And then she did one small thing. Just one. She took a basket and gathered the mending into it. She cleared one surface. She placed the wildflowers in a cup of water on the table. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't everything, but it was real. Ilara stood back and looked at that one small change, and for the first time in a long time, her body believed she might be okay. Outside, somewhere deep in the forest, a cottage window glowed, warm and steady. And inside Ilara, the truth settled gently into place. I am safe enough to start small.